Have you ever been in love, but still felt alone? Like you're right next to someone, maybe even holding their hand, but deep inside, there's this quiet ache, a kind of emptiness you can't explain. It's weird, right? How can you feel lonely when you're not even alone? If you've ever felt this, don't worry. You're not broken, you're not dramatic, and you're definitely not the only one. In fact, more people feel lonely in relationships than they'd ever admit. So today, let's talk about it. Why does loneliness exist even when love is present? Why does it hit you the hardest when you're supposed to feel the closest? Let's break this down in a way that actually makes sense. First, let's talk about the obvious one, emotional disconnect. You know that feeling when you're having a terrible day and your partner says, "Oh, okay." And you're just sitting there like, "Sir, ma'am, I need emotional CPR, not a two-letter response." Sometimes the people we love don't fully understand the depth of what we feel, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel things the same way we do. Different emotional languages, different ways of expressing care. One person thinks, "I made you chai, that's my love." The other person thinks, "Talk to me, listen to me, that's my love." And boom, both feel lonely even while sitting on the same sofa. Another big reason is this. You're physically together, but mentally alone. You know what I mean. You're sitting with your partner, but they're scrolling their phone like they're trying to find a hidden treasure on Instagram. You're talking and they're nodding, but you can tell their soul left their body 20 minutes ago. That micro moment, the one where you realize they're not really there, that's where loneliness begins. It's not about time spent together, it's about connection. You can spend 10 hours together and feel nothing, or talk for 10 minutes and feel everything. Now here's a fun one. Expectations. Oh yes, the silent relationship killer. Sometimes what makes you feel lonely isn't your partner. It's the version of them you built in your head. Maybe you imagined someone who talks more, or listens more, or surprises you, or remembers tiny details like the name of your neighbor's dog. But reality gives you someone who's, well, human, flawed, busy, distracted, and suddenly you're disappointed, even though no one actually did anything wrong. Loneliness often comes from the gap between expectations and reality. Now, here's a big one. You're afraid to open up. Yep, sometimes loneliness isn't coming from your partner, it's coming from you. Maybe you've been hurt before. Maybe you learned that opening up is dangerous. Maybe vulnerability feels like giving someone the nuclear codes to your heart. So you keep things inside. You don't fully express what you feel. You laugh things off, pretend you're okay, act strong, and slowly, you build emotional walls. The problem? Walls don't just keep pain out. They keep love in. And inside those walls, it's just you. That's where loneliness multiplies. Now, let's talk about another sneaky one, growing at different speeds. Relationships aren't always 50-50. Sometimes one person grows faster, wants more emotional depth, or starts seeing life differently. Meanwhile, the other person is still comfortable in the old version of the relationship. So you start feeling like you're evolving alone, like you're dreaming alone, like you're craving something more, and your partner doesn't even realize it. This isn't anyone's fault. It's just what happens when two humans try to navigate life together. Now, here's the painful one. Love without understanding. You can love someone deeply and still not understand them fully, or worse, feel misunderstood. And being misunderstood is one of the loneliest feelings on the planet. It's like you're screaming your emotions internally, and what comes out is, "Yeah, I'm fine." And they believe it because they don't see the storm you're hiding inside. But here's the twist. feeling lonely in love doesn't always mean the relationship is broken. Sometimes it means you're changing. Sometimes it means you have unmet needs you've never talked about. Sometimes it means you need more connection, not less love. Sometimes it means you're healing old wounds that didn't start in this relationship. Loneliness isn't always a red flag. Sometimes it's a signal, a quiet whisper saying, hey, something inside you needs attention. So, what do you do when loneliness shows up, even in love? You slow down, you talk honestly, you stop assuming your partner can read your thoughts like Wi-Fi signals, you share what you need, you let them in, and most importantly, you let yourself be seen. Because connection doesn't come from being in the same room. It comes from being on the same page. And love doesn't remove loneliness by default, but communication, understanding, and vulnerability do. If you've ever felt lonely in love, remember this. You're human. You're sensitive. You have emotional depth. And that's not a weakness. It's a superpower. Feeling lonely doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you're craving connection. And that craving is what makes love meaningful in the first place. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, drop a comment, and hit subscribe for more relatable psychology breakdowns, because trust me, your feelings always have a reason. And hey, if someone came to your mind while watching this, maybe it's time to have that conversation.